Welcome councillors and gallery and staff to and I declare the 15th of June 2021 council meeting open. First, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout the Barossa region and recognise their continuing connection to land, the water and the culture, and pay respects to elders past and present. In my welcoming, I'd also like to formally welcome the new position of Director of Corporate Services and Business Innovation, Ms. Jo Marlin. Welcome to the Chamber, and we look forward to working closely with you in your period in this new role, and wish you all the best. Welcome, Councillor Louise. And I was going to say welcome, Oscar, but Oscar's gone. Good to see you back. And terrific. We'll move on to item 1.5, which is the council meeting held, the minutes for confirmation of the minutes held on the 18th of May 2021, and the special council meeting held on the Wednesday the 2nd of June 2021. I would like to move those minutes be accepted. Councillor Schilling and seconded Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. There's no matters from the previous minutes. There's no petitions. We'll move to the Mayor's report on page 5, which there is a minor correction there. My voice type put in the Department of Instruction rather than Infrastructure. So there hasn't been a new government change to the department. I might just add that it's been a very interesting month, and of course the and pay thanks to the staff for the volunteers event, because it was really well done, and the volunteers really appreciated the effort that was put in by staff to recognise their valued contribution, and also the event at the Bush Gardens for reconciliation. I think that was quite a moving event, and something that we all engaged in, and it was very well received by the Aboriginal elders who were present. And also I kept the Deputy Mayor busy this month, so thanks Deputy Johnston for backing me up on numerous occasions throughout the month, so thank you, appreciate that. Any questions?
Move the report be received.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Miller. All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to the consensus agenda. Is there any items that members wish for exclusion from the consensus agenda? Councillor Louise Smith.
Not necessarily withdraw, there's just a spelling error on page 34.
Page 34.
We're a minute here.
Beg pardon?
We're a minute.
We're a minute. Okay, thank you. Someone like to move the consensus agenda? Councillor Breeze, seconded Councillor Johnston. All those in favour? Carried. Members, on the agenda we have a presentation for Mia Devlin, who was selected to represent South Australia in the Australian Track and Field Champion in Sydney, but unfortunately she's unable to attend this morning. She is unwell. So we'll move straight into the debate agenda. And on page 38 is the fees and charges register for 2021 and 2022 on page 28. Any questions? Councillor Schilling.
Yes, I'd just like to ask why the change for the reciprocal rights of using the recs and the outdoor pools, please? if it could be clarified.
Through you, Mayor, John requested the radio and also in response to the feedback we got when we did the trial of the vaccine, went back in, probably about 3 months ago, in the swimming club wanted to use all of the land. And we had a complaint about the public not being able to access that facility. So what we did at the time was we gave them the reciprocal rights to use the Williamstown pool. And so that has been suggested as a continued measure going forward.
And with these new rates, will that impact the swimming club? Will they have to pay more or?
They'll pay based on the prevailing rate.
Same as-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I'll move the
Councillor
recommendation.
Johnson, move the recommendation. Seconded, Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. Page 72, 7.2.2, approval to continue works in progress programs and existing service levels.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship. Second it.
Moved Councillor De Vries. Seconded Councillor Miller. Wish to speak?
I want to see the work done.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 82. This is the monthly financial report as at 21st of May 2021. Any questions that you may have for Mr. Lay on the financial report?
Move the report.
Moved Councillor Boothby. Seconded Councillor Havik. All those in favour? Carried. Page 85. Which is the rate rebate and discretionary 2021-2022. Councillor Schilling.
I declare a conflict of interest and I'll leave the room while this is being debated.
Councillor Angus.
I will do likewise. I'm on the board of Barossa Village, which stands to benefit.
Thank you, councillor. Any questions that members may have on the rates rebate?
Happy to move it.
Move Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Louise Smith. All those in favour? Carried. Next item is on page 92, which is the Williamstown RSL and Senior Cits Hall proposal to transfer to community. This is to consider the commencement of a process of community land revocation and transfer of the Williamstown RSL Senior Cits Hall, the hall to the community organisations Wirra Mena Care.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Louise Smith. Wish to speak?
No, I think this is pretty self-evident and I think it should be done.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Page 98 is the extension of appointment of independent members of the Newry Centenary Park Authority and Audit Committee. The council to approve the extension of the appointment of 2 independent members of the Newry Centenary Authority Audit Committee. Any questions?
Move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Boothby, seconded Councillor Hearn. Wish to speak?
No.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 104, this is the principal office and other offices late opening on the 29th of July 2020. This is to facilitate all staff access and inclusion in the organised wide professional development event. Any questions?
Move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Breeze, seconded councillor Havik. Wish to speak?
No.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 106, 7.3.2, the Planning Development Infrastructure Act delegations, update to instruments A, C and D. Any questions?
I move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Miller. Either one wish to speak?
No, I think it's straightforward.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 189, the Community Services and Big Project Report, Gurnata Recreation Park, upgrade cricket practice nets, and the project update. Any questions? Councillor Havik.
Thanks, Mayor. Although I'm in favour of approving this, I have some doubts about the costing of it. We put this up last year and 15 months later, the whole project is about another $80,000 on top of. So we're currently 40, as it stands at the moment, 40,000 or 41,000 short. And the gardeners from Gawler have in kind donated about $40,000 as well. So if they weren't donating that 40,000 and someone else was doing the job, we'd have to include that as far as the cost goes. I don't understand why we're so far up in last years. I know there's a different contractor, but perhaps someone can answer that.
Ms Thomas, yes.
Certainly I'll answer that. I also just wanted to point out that not all of the attachments are included in the agenda, although they were referenced, so that's why it's on your desk. Just in response to so this is one of those projects where the club themselves made a grant application some months back, and the original request to council for contribution was based on those original quotes that they obtained. We've worked very closely and over a long period of time with them to actually work out and follow up with what those work actually needed to be. This is a slightly more complex net design in terms of its location. We're actually trying to reutilise the existing spot, and we've had some potentially significant vegetation. So that's taken quite some time. So fundamentally, my view is that the project is under costed to begin with, and the figures that we've got now, I think are much more robust. There is a lot of in-kind work potentially from the contacts that the club has. We also wanted, it's taken us some time for us to actually firm out what those costs look like. So again, we didn't have figures that were accurate. So I believe this is a full quote for the works that's required. The additional monies, as we've outlined in the report, really are required to ensure that we cover any contingency. So we've allowed a 10% contingency as we normally would do. Yeah, I think we'll get a good outcome from it eventually once it's complete. And we've also been negotiating with them, with SACA and Cricket Australia, for them to continue the grant which they got almost 18 months ago now.
Yeah, councillor
In
Havik.
view of that, Mayor, I'd like to move that motion.
Thank you. Moved councillor Havik, Seconded councillor Miller. Would you,
Can I just make a comment? Yes, yeah, I'd just like to commend staff for their effort on this particular item. And what I'm particularly very happy about is no trees are going to be removed from what we first had to what we've got now. So excellent, no trees are going to be removed.
councillor Havey, do you want to speak to the motion?
In relation to this subject, it was brought up last year and I was completely in favour of going through last year and I was still in now and I think it's an excellent thing for the southern Barossa. The Sandy Creek Cricket Club, they're very strong. They've got a good area where they pick their cricketers from. But they keep winning and I think we should be doing something down there in relation to this.
Thank you. Second, I wish to speak.
No, I'm well covered.
Thanks for that, and I think I remember that when their initial grant did come in, there was a bit of concern about their quote at that stage too, so. Right, all those in favour? Carried. Page 195, which is the town entry signs, the final design choice. As part of the Drought Communities Program, the 42 town entry signs across the Barossa area are being replaced through the Town Entry Signs project. And the decision about the final design of the new signs is required. It's been out to consultation and there's been some feedback. Any questions?
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved councillor De Vries, seconded councillor Troop. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
I kind of like the red one, but people have spoken. To be honest, I'm just so glad that we're finally getting on with this. I was literally just driving into Neri last week and noticing how abominable the sign was and thought the sooner we get this done, the better. So I think the entire Barossa will be very excited when this happens. It'll be a really long overdue dressing up of the entrances of all the towns. So
Yeah.
well
If the
done
old
to
ones stay
everybody.
there much longer, they'll be heritage value.
Yeah, and really well done to everybody involved in this. I think we've got a really good outcome.
Councillor Troop,
I just like the simplicity and the rustic nature of it. It looks great. Yeah, well done.
any other
So-
comments? Councillor Wee Smith?
Just in regards to the consultation, happy with where we're going with all of this. Just a quick question regarding how community stakeholders were communicated with afterwards. I note in there that you engaged the stakeholders for feedback. I was involved in a couple of the groups, but haven't heard of anything since. So I'm just wondering how many stakeholders were actually approached for feedback, or was it just particular town groups?
Through you,
Ms.
Mayor.
Thomas, yep.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So my understanding is we went back to all the town groups. To rely on them then to share that within their own groups. But when it was discussed at the workshop, that was the view that we thought we would take rather than doing a broader consultation, that we would just go back to the groups that we did.
I think, yeah, my question was more in relation to the stakeholders that were involved in those groups. Initially, it says in here that an email contact group was created to receive updates, but yeah, I'm just wondering if, you know, other people who were involved in those initial workshops received the information.
Through you, I'd have to take that one on notice. My understanding was that we've just gone back to all the town groups that we met with Maz McGann in the first place, but I can clarify that.
And I think that was some of the discussion that we had at the workshop too. Yeah, okay. Any other further comments? All those in favour? Carried.
Yay.
Oh,
We got there.
go for it, councillor De Vries.
That's all right.
Page 230, which is Community Services and Big Project Report. This is the 7.4.3, the Outdoor Pools End of Season Report. There's a recommendation there. Any questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Havik?
I'd just like to say that the figures in relation to the comparison for this year to last year, 2019-20, there's 2,500 additional swimmers went to the pool. This is the Newry pool. And And by those figures, I think it's just a bit of a myth gets around that no one is using the pool. Bearing in mind, we had a lot of cold weather and COVID restrictions, but still the figures are way up. And I think that's one of the reasons why we as a council should be pushing along to do what we can to keep that pool operating, because there's going to be so many people affected if it doesn't operate in the future, the long term. And I can see there where we've got kids swim for free entry, December 720.
Councillor Kin, I'm just asking for questions now, you're turning it into a comment, so.
I'll make the comment, and I'm saying that if the kids.
I need to get a move in the second first, then you can make your comment.
I'll move the
Okay,
resolution.
move councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Smith. Either one wish to speak to the motion?
No, I think it's great that we're getting these reports and the numbers speak for themselves.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah, I'd just like to thank staff for the effort put into providing those figures.
thank you. Now, any further comment? Sorry, councillor.
I'm just saying that the kids swim for free entry. December was 723, January 1412. If we haven't got a pool over there, those kids are going to miss out, and that should be thought of in the future as far as keeping that outdoor pool area going. So that's what I want to point out. We're going down the right way. I'm not going to know that. And it may have cost more to have 2,500 more people go through the pool, which it did. And I think one of the council's objectives is to provide service back to the public, and that's what it's all about.
Well, I guess that'll be teased out in further reports, and this is just information just to highlight the increase in numbers. So there'll be further reports, and there's further information coming about the condition of the pool and all of those at the appropriate time. Any other further comments?
Yes, I just have a comment on the Newry Pool memberships. From my own experience, I went in 3 times asking for a season membership, and I was unable to have that because they never had the paperwork. I just wanted to raise that and say, I know they had issues with staff and staff training and all the rest of it, but maybe there's a way that could be streamlined. It's like it appeared that if you didn't go and get your membership in the first 2 weeks of the pool opening, then you weren't able to get a membership throughout the summer season. So maybe there's something that could be done online or a direct debit or something like that, so to help us get those memberships in, which helps the pool fees income. Thank you.
Ms Thomas, you wish to?
Oh, through you, may I just respond to say yes, I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Page 276. Which is 7.5.1, the cemetery management policy, post-consultation approval. Any questions? This is to receive and consider the submissions received during the public consultation and to seek council's endorsement to adopt and formalise the cemetery management policy.
I'll move the
Moved
recommendation.
councillor Schilling, seconded councillor Hearn. Do you wish to speak? Councillor Schilling?
No, it's all good, thank you.
Councillor Hearn?
It's all self-explanatory, Mayor.
Thank you. Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Page 290, the Works and Engineering Report, naming of streets in Creek Park Land Division in Newry. This is a request has been received from the developer of the residential land for the street naming, and there's been 4 names that's been put forward for the chamber to consider.
Move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Smith,
Second.
seconded councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak?
Just to say I like the thinking that's gone into the names there.
Yeah,
Well thought out.
all the same. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Angus?
Yes, Mayor, what's the significance of the name Flinders?
That's where we're putting the train station.
There's already a Flinders Street there.
It's continuing.
Is it continuing? Oh, okay. Like lack of local knowledge. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further comment? All those in favour?
And no one knows.
Carried.
What Flinders Street.
297, the funding deed for the Bridges Renewal Program, Round 5, Stockwell Road Bridge Renewal, Light Pass. This is the Department of Infrastructure and Transport has provided a funding deed for the Bridges Renewal Program, and this is before council to authorise the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer to execute the funding deed.
Where's the recommendation?
Moved councillor Hayvick, seconded councillor Wee Smith. Either one wish to speak?
I think it's a fait accompli, it's gotta be.
Thank you.
Let's get it done.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 313, the Barossa Assessment Panel appointment of members' vacancies. 7.6.1. Any questions?
Move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Boothby, seconded councillor Hearn. Do you want to speak? Councillor Angus.
Yes, Mayor, I have some concerns over this. If you look at any reasonably well-qualified committee or board, it's made up of a diversity of skills, and if you can look at the senior leadership team here, we all have different skills. In this instance, we're being directed purely to planners, and I think this is a major flaw in the assessment panel process. You know, if the whole thing was made up by accountants or, God forbid, farmers, you could have all sorts of trouble. All we have here are planners, and that worries me, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, but I expect the motion will be passed, but we'll see. Thank you.
Valid comment. I guess the legislation as such puts us in this position as far as I'm aware. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's good legislation and there's not so good.
Democracy.
Yeah, your point's taken though. They don't all have the same vibe for the community. All those, yes, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Heath. Thanks, Councillor Angus. The way the legislation works certainly gives us a very narrow band of people that can actually be on the committee. But the way that works is through their accreditation system. So you could do some lobbying around that through the advocacy process. It's not going to happen overnight, but I guess it's the old story. You're never going to build a house if you don't start. So, maybe that's a conversation for a later date at a workshop to see how we're going with the implementation of that framework. But it doesn't require legislative change, it requires accreditation process changes to make it a little bit wider.
Councillor De Rees and then Councillor Johnston.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I remember we had this discussion last year, and I think Councillor Angus has a very good point. One of the things I like about this chamber is that there is at least one person on it that's like me. And that's an unusual thing, so I think there is a problem with having this very narrow band, and maybe the CEO's right, perhaps we should have a discussion about this at the workshop and finding a way to sort of broaden the opportunities at least.
Get some accreditation, yeah. Right. Councillor Johnston?
Just a sort of a leavening thing in here is that there is the independence, if you like, from a planning perspective, that one of us serves on the panel as well, so we can raise a voice, but actually from a non-planning perspective. It's both Councillor Miller and myself, and having sat on the panel for a year or so now, as the deputy occasionally when the need arises. There are some pretty complex things come to that panel, and so it really does need planning expertise, aside from recommendations from the staff. So I think my sense is it works okay. I mean, happy to be differed with, but it works well as long as you've got that one or two independent people.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Members, that ends our agenda as far as the ordinary meeting is concerned.
Your
We do
worship.
have a confidential item.
Your worship, I was wondering, is it possible for me to request leave for the next meeting under the current format? Is that? I haven't done that in writing, but is it possible to,
You can do that in other business
yeah, can I do that now?
at the end.
Oh, at the end, okay.
Thank you. So with that, we'll move into confidence. Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on.
Mr. Mayor, I'll declare a conflict of interest. Obviously, the matter relates to my performance remuneration and performance development. I'll declare that interest as per normal. I'll remain in the chamber to answer any questions. Thereafter, I'll leave before any debate commences.
Thank you. So,
The rest of you will leave.
yep, I need all the staff to move this ready as well. Thank you.
Pass the resolution then.
Yeah. Councillor Wilson, you'll move, we go into confidence? Thank you. Seconded Councillor Hearn, all those in favour?
Other businesses before we go.
Wee Smith.
Councillor Wee Smith and Councillor Hearn, I reckon, you seconded it, didn't you? Yep.
Hang on. And Hearn?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I just remembered I've De Vries?
Yes, your worship, I have, my likelihood that I will not be available, for the August meeting, so with that in mind, I'd like to ask for a leave for that meeting. Do I have to leave for this one? Yes.
There you do, yeah. Yep. Councillor Miller?
Hang on, we need to do one at a time. We need to do one at a time.
What have we got, a couple there?
Councillor De Vries.
Oh, sorry, okay, I thought you was moving for his. Okay.
No, I had lodged an application for leave of absence a couple
All
of
right,
weeks
we'll
ago.
do, I'll do one at a time then.
You're all right.
Yeah, Councillor, where's you, for Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Hearn. So Councillor Wee Smith moved.
Yep.
And seconded Councillor Hearn to approve the leave of absence for Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried.
Are you in August as well? That August as well?
Can you just give me the dates again, councillor?
The 4th of July, the 31st of August. I had planned to be in Queensland for most of that time. My son is now going in for major surgery for spinal cancer. He needs two hips, one hip, 2 knees and shoulders reconstruction for the 2nd or 3rd time as a result of army service. He's going to have to support his family quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Okay, so
You'll be leaving the meeting now?
I will be, so
that's it. I was a little bit stunned when I finished.
Good, Councillor Havik, seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried.
At the risk of you losing a quorum, Mayor, I also can't attend that meeting due to meetings being held at 9 o'clock in the morning and I have to facilitate a workshop. So I'll also need leave of absence, or I can be an apology, whatever works better for the chamber.
Put a leave of absence in for that date, for the August meeting, was it?
Yeah.
Is it something about that part of the chamber? No.
I'll move.
Yeah.
Moved Councillor Angus, seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried.
All the best, Richard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Think of something if you want me to.
I'm not going in the hospital again there, so.
No other urgent business. I'll officially close the meeting, the June meeting.
If it becomes a quorum issue, I can literally phone it.
Get the
Oh, that's not that.
So I thought I'd done that.
Okay, no other urgent business. I'll officially close the meeting on the 20th of July, and our next meeting is 20th of July 2021. Scheduled meeting, I might add.
schedule.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a